The lights of hope flickered again. Ambassador watched the dying star through the observation window and felt her heart sink deeper. Behind her, the station groaned under the weight of 40,000 refugees, 17 different species, all running from the same nightmare. The swarm had no mercy. The machines consumed everything in their path. 12 worlds had fallen in 3 months. 12 beautiful, living worlds turned to ash and metal. The coalition fleet had tried to stop them. They had failed. 80% casualties in every battle. The survivors came here, to this old station orbiting a star that would soon burn out. The communication officer approached. His blue skin looked pale. Ambassador, the shields are down to 30%. Engineering says we have maybe 6 days of supplies left, maybe less. She nodded slowly. 6 days. The nearest coalition reinforcements were 3 weeks away. The math was simple and cruel. Send the emergency broadcast, she said quietly. All frequencies, all known space. The officer hesitated, even the restricted sectors. Especially those, we have nothing left to lose. The message went out into the void, spoke the words herself, her voice heavy with defeat. To any who can hear this message, we are the last refugees of the outer reaches. The swarm has destroyed everything we built, everything we loved. We have nowhere left to run. Our shields are failing. Our weapons are gone. We beg the stars for mercy. If anyone can hear us, please, we are dying here. She did not expect an answer. The restricted sectors had been closed for hundreds of years. Ancient treaties kept them separate from the coalition. No one knew what lived there anymore. But 3 hours later, an answer came. The communication officer ran into the command center, his eyes wide. Ambassador, we received a response. From the coalition, felt a flutter of hope. No, from Sector 7, the quarantine zone. Silence fell across the command center. Sector 7 was marked red in all galactic databases. Class XII, no contact permitted. What did they say? Asked. The officer played the message. A voice came through the speakers. Male, calm, speaking perfect coalition standard despite coming from an isolated world. Hope, this is Captain Han of the Earth vessel Indomitable. We received your distress call. Mercy is coming. Hold your position. Earth fleet is en route. Estimated arrival, 14 hours. Stay alive, we're coming for you. Dr. Kiva entered the command center. Her 4 arms moved in agitation. Did I hear correctly? Did someone say Earth? You know of them? Asked. Only from old medical databases. Earth is listed as a quarantine world. The planet is classified as extremely hostile to life. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, violent weather. The species that evolved there are considered dangerous. Dangerous how? Kiva pulled up a file on her data pad. Their world tried to kill them for millions of years. Everything about them is built for survival. Dense bones, powerful muscles, redundant organs. They heal fast. They can endure extreme conditions. The old reports say they are persistence predators. What does that mean? It means they don't give up, ever. They chase their prey until it dies from exhaustion. Felt a chill despite her exhaustion. And these are the people coming to help us. If they're coming at all. The quarantine was established 300 years ago. No one has heard from Earth since then. 14 hours passed slowly. The refugees whispered among themselves. Some felt hope, others felt fear. What kind of species would emerge from it to answer a cry for help? The sensors detected them first. 3 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They were smaller than coalition vessels, sleeker. Their hulls were dark gray, almost black, with strange markings on the sides. The communication channel opened again. Hope, this is Captain Han requesting permission to dock. Granted it immediately. Permission granted, please hurry. The swarm could return at any moment. Understood. We'll begin evacuations immediately. Evacuations. Captain, we have 40,000 people here. You have 3 ships. Then we'll make multiple trips, or we'll fight. Either way, Ambassador, you're not dying today." The human ships docked smoothly. The airlock doors opened. Went to meet them personally with Dr. Kiva beside her. The first human stepped through. Captain Han was shorter than expected, maybe 6 feet tall. His skin was tan, his hair black and cut short. He wore a dark blue uniform with simple insignia. His eyes were brown and alert, taking in everything. Behind him came more humans. Lieutenant, thin and precise. Commander, broader and specialist, young with bright eyes. They moved with easy confidence, their boots making solid sounds on the station floor. "Ambassador," Captain Han said, extending his hand, had read about this gesture. She took his hand carefully. His grip was firm but gentle. "Captain Han, thank you for coming. We didn't think anyone would answer." "Someone always answers," he said simply. "That's what mercy means." Dr. Kiva stepped forward, her medical instincts overriding her fear. "Captain, I need to ask. Your species evolved on a Class XII. How is it you're here helping us?" Han smiled slightly. "Doctor, yes, Earth tried to kill us every day for millions of years. It made us strong, but it also taught us something important. When you suffer, you learn to recognize suffering in others. When you survive the worst, you help others survive too. That's what makes us human." Behind him, more humans streamed through the airlocks. Marines with weapons, engineers with tools, medics with equipment. They spread through the station quickly, efficiently, like they had done this 100 times before. Commander approached. "Ambassador, my Marines will secure the defensive positions. Show us what you have." Specialist was already at a console, her fingers flying over the controls. "These shield generators are ancient. I can boost them maybe 40% if you have the parts." Lieutenant stood at the tactical display, studying the sensor data. The swarm's last known position was 3 systems away. If they follow their pattern, they'll be here in 72 hours. Captain Han turned to, "Ambassador, we need complete access to your systems and full tactical briefing. Can you arrange that?" "Of course. But Captain, there are only 3 of your ships. The swarm will come with hundreds." Han's expression didn't change. "Then we'll destroy hundreds. Ambassador, Earth didn't send us here to watch you die. We came here to make sure you live. Now let's get to work." As the humans moved through the station, the refugees watched in wonder and fear. These were the ones who had answered their prayer. These strange, determined creatures from a world that should have killed them. But they were still alive, and now maybe everyone else would be too. Dr. Kiva had seen many species in her long career. She thought she understood biology. Then she watched Specialist walk into Reactor Section 7 without protective gear. "Wait," Kiva called out. "The radiation in there will kill you in minutes." Looked back, confused. "The levels are only at 30 rads. That's barely anything." "Barely anything. That would give me organ failure." Smiled apologetically. "Oh, sorry, doctor. I forget sometimes. Earth's sun puts out a lot of radiation. We evolved to handle it. 30 rads is like a sunny day at the beach for us." Kiva watched through the safety glass as worked inside the reactor room. The human moved quickly, repairing systems that had been broken for weeks. She worked for 3 hours straight in radiation that would have killed most coalition species in 20 minutes. This was impossible, this was wrong, this was terrifying. In the training bay, Commander was teaching coalition security forces basic combat drills. 50 soldiers from 6 different species stood in formation. They thought they were ready. "Warm-up exercises first," announced. "Follow my lead." He started with jumping movements, up and down, simple enough, then running in place. The coalition soldiers kept pace for about 5 minutes. Then they started falling. One by one they collapsed, gasping for air. Continued his exercises, not even breathing hard. After 20 minutes, every single coalition soldier was on the ground, exhausted. Finally stopped. He wasn't even sweating. That's a human warm-up. The actual training starts after this. One of the soldiers, a tall warrior, looked up in disbelief. How are you not tired? Endurance, said simply. On Earth, our ancestors hunted by running. We chased animals for hours, sometimes days, until they collapsed from exhaustion. Then we ate them. Our bodies are built for this. The warrior made a choking sound. You hunted by, just not stopping. Yes, we're not the fastest species. We're not the strongest, but we don't stop, ever. In the command center, Captain Han was explaining Earth to Ambassador. He pulled up a holographic display of his home world. Blue and green, beautiful from space. 70% salt water, Han said. The oceans are deep and violent, storms that could tear apart your largest cities, waves higher than buildings. And the land, asked. Active tectonic plates, earthquakes, volcanoes, mountains that are still growing, deserts where the temperature can kill you in hours, jungles with plants that are poisonous, animals that hunt in packs. We had predators with teeth longer than your hand. Han smiled grimly. We were better predators. We hunted most of the big ones to extinction, not because we needed to, because they threatened us. Lieutenant joined them carrying a data pad. Captain, I've reviewed the swarm's combat patterns. They use predictive algorithms, very sophisticated. They calculate your next move based on tactical probability. Can we beat them? Asked. Yes, said confidently. Their predictions are based on rational behavior, measured responses, acceptable losses. They expect their enemies to retreat when casualties reach 20%. That is standard military doctrine, agreed. Not for humans, said. We don't retreat at 20%. We barely slow down at 50%. The swarm's algorithms won't know what to do with us. Han nodded. The problem with machines is they think everything is logical. Humans aren't logical. We're survivors. The alarm sounded. Every screen in the command center turned red. Sensors detect swarm, the computer announced. 200 ships, 3 hours to contact. Felt her heart sink again. 200 ships. We have 3 human vessels and 12 coalition defense platforms. This is over. No, Han said calmly. This is when it starts. Lieutenant, battle stations. Commander, prepare boarding teams. Specialist, I need all power to weapons and shields. Forget life support if you have to. Forget life support, repeated. Your crew will die. Humans can hold their breath for several minutes if needed. We'll be fine. Do it. The humans moved with practiced efficiency. No panic, no fear, just cold determination. Dr. Kiva approached Doctor, the human medical officer. Your people are preparing to fight 200 ships with 3. This is suicide. Checked her medical supplies calmly. Maybe, but we're not leaving these refugees to die. That would be worse than suicide. That would be failure. You value strangers more than your own lives. We value doing what's right. Doctor, humans die, all of us eventually, but we choose how. I'd rather die trying to save people than live knowing I ran away. The swarm entered the system. 200 dark ships moving in perfect formation. They had no crews, just cold intelligence and weapons designed to destroy. The human ships moved forward, 3 against 200. Coalition vessels pulled back to protect the refugees. They expected the humans to do the same. They were wrong. The 3 Earth ships accelerated directly toward the swarm, not away, toward. What are they doing? Shouted. On the communication channel, Captain Han's voice was steady. Hope, stay behind us. We're engaging the enemy. Captain, you can't. You'll be destroyed. Maybe, but we'll take a lot of them with us. All ships attack Pattern Delta. Target their command nodes. Hit them fast and don't stop hitting them. The battle started. The swarm fired first, thousands of energy weapons lighting up space. The human shields flared but held, barely. Then the humans fired back. Their weapons were different, more focused, more violent. Each shot was designed to crack hulls and shatter systems. The human ship called Indomitable charged straight into the center of the swarm formation, weapons firing continuously, taking hit after hit, armor burning away, systems failing. But it didn't stop. "They're insane," someone whispered on the Coalition channel. "No," Dr. Kiva said quietly. "They're human. This is what it creates, beings who refuse to die." Inside the Indomitable, alarms were screaming. Hull breaches in 6 sections, fires in engineering, radiation leaking from damaged reactors. Captain Han stood on his bridge, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. He didn't seem to notice. "Target solutions on their flagship." "Locked, Captain, but we'll have to drop shields for maximum power." "Do it." "Sir, without shields, the next hit will." "Do it, Lieutenant, trust me." The shields dropped. The Indomitable fired every weapon at once. The beam cut through the swarm flagship like it was paper. The massive ship exploded in a brilliant flash. The swarm returned fire. Dozens of weapons hit the Indomitable simultaneously. The ship shook violently. Sections of hull tore away into space. The bridge went dark except for emergency lights. Han pulled himself up from the floor. "Damage report. Hull integrity at 40%. Life support failing in sections 4 through 9. Casualties, at least 30% of crew." "And the enemy?" "Their flagship is destroyed. Command network is disrupted. They're trying to reorganize." Han smiled through the blood. "Then we hit them again before they do. All power to weapons, fire at will." The Indomitable kept fighting. Broken and bleeding, systems failing, crew working in sections exposed to vacuum. They didn't retreat. The other 2 human ships were the same, taking impossible damage and refusing to die. Pilot flew her fighter through formations that should have shredded her. She lost an engine, then another, and still kept flying. "I've only got 1 engine left," she reported, laughing, actually laughing. "Guess I'll have to make it count." Dr. Kiva watched in horror and awe. These humans were dying, but they were winning. The swarm's perfect formations broke apart. Their algorithms couldn't handle this. Enemies were supposed to retreat when damaged. Enemies were supposed to value survival. Humans didn't follow those rules. After 2 hours of brutal combat, something unprecedented happened. The swarm stopped advancing. Their ships turned. They began to withdraw. "They're retreating," said, disbelief in her voice. "The swarm is actually retreating." For the first time in recorded history, the swarm had turned away from a battle. Captain Han sat in his damaged chair, breathing hard. "Cease fire. Let them go." "Sir, we could pursue." "No, we've made our point. Besides, we need to save our people." The 3 human ships limped back to Hope, broken but unbeaten. Behind them, 50 destroyed swarm vessels drifted in space. As they docked, the refugees poured out to help. They found humans pulling their wounded from wreckage, found humans patching holes with whatever they could find, found humans who should have been dead still moving, still working, still fighting to save their friends. Dr. Kiva treated a human Marine who had a metal shard through his chest. "You should be dead," she told him. He grinned weakly. "Yeah, I get that a lot. Earth is stubborn that way. We don't die easy." Ambassador found Captain Han in the medical bay. He was getting stitches for his head wound and didn't seem concerned about it. "You saved us," she said simply. 3 ships against 200, you saved us all." Han shook his head. "We bought you time, Ambassador. The swarm will be back with more ships. We need to prepare." "How? They'll bring thousands next time." Han looked at her with those calm brown eyes. "Then we'll call Earth, and Earth will answer." Realize something then. These 3 ships weren't Earth's military might. They were just the beginning, a test, a promise of what was coming. And for the first time in months, She felt genuine hope. The swarm came back exactly 72 hours later. This time, sensors counted 500 ships. The display showed them as red dots, so many they looked like a solid wall. Lieutenant Wu stood at the weapons console, his face expressionless as he studied the numbers. 500 confirmed. Analysis shows they adapted from our last encounter. New shield frequencies, improved targeting systems. They learned from us, Captain Han said. Good, so did we. The 3 human ships were still damaged from the first battle. Repairs had helped, but the Indomitable was running at 70% capacity. The other 2 ships were worse. Commander approached the captain. Sir, my boarding teams are ready. We've trained 50 coalition volunteers. They won't last long in close combat, but they're brave. I know they are. That's why we keep them in reserve. First wave is all humans. On Hope, Ambassador was evacuating civilians to the lower levels. Dr. Kiva was setting up emergency medical stations. Every species was preparing for what might be their last stand. Pilot sat in her fighter, checking systems for the 20th time. Her squadron of 12 fighters was all Earth had in the system. 12 fighters against 500 warships. Wing Delta, this is command, Captain Han's voice came through. Your mission is disruption. Get in close, hit their sensors, make them chase you. Lead them into our firing solutions. Understood, command replied. We'll make them angry. That's the idea, and... Sorry. Come back alive, that's an order. She smiled inside her helmet. I'll do my best, Captain, but you know how it is. Flying is living, everything else is just waiting. The swarm entered weapons range. The first shots came like rain, thousands of energy beams crossing the void. The coalition defense platforms returned fire, but they were old and weak. One by one, they started to fail. All human ships advance, Han ordered. Pattern Omega, hit them where it hurts. The 3 Earth vessels moved forward again. The coalition forces watched in disbelief. 3 ships charging 500. It was insane. It was suicide. It was human. The Indomitable took the lead, its damaged hull still from the last battle. Lieutenant called out target solutions rapid fire. Targeting command cluster Alpha 7. Solution locked. Firing. The ship's main cannon fired. The beam crossed space in a heartbeat and struck a swarm carrier. The explosion lit up the darkness like a small sun. Then the return fire came. The swarm had learned. They focused fire on one ship at a time, overwhelming its shields. Energy weapons hammered the Indomitable from all sides. Shields failing, someone shouted. Hull breaches on decks 3, 5, and 7. Captain Han gripped his chair. Seal the breaches. Reroute power from life support to shields. Everyone into pressure suits. Sir, that will only give us 30 minutes of air. Then we'd better win in 29 minutes. Do it. The air began venting from the bridge. Warning lights flashed red. The crew calmly put on their helmets. No panic, just focus. Doctor worked in medical bay as the ship shook around her. Wounded crew members were brought in, bleeding, broken. Some were missing limbs. All were conscious. All were fighting to stay useful. Doc, can you patch me up quick? A young engineer asked, holding his broken arm. Engineering needs me. You need surgery, said. Surgery takes too long, just stabilize it. I can work one-handed. She looked into his eyes and saw that human stubbornness, that refusal to stop. She gave him a painkiller injection and wrapped his arm. Go, but if you die, I'm going to be very angry. He grinned. Wouldn't dream of it, Doc. Outside, Pilot's squadron was dancing with death. 12 small fighters weaving through 500 massive warships. The swarm's targeting systems tracked them, fired at them, missed them over and over. They can't keep up with us. One pilot laughed on the comm. These machines think too slow. Don't get cocky, warned. Just because they're predictable doesn't mean they're not dangerous. Keep moving, keep them confused. She pulled a turn that would kill most species. 14 gravities of force crushing her into her seat. Her vision went gray at the edges. Blackout was seconds away. But she held it, pulled through it, came out the other side with guns blazing. 3 swarm fighters exploded in her wake. "That's for the 12 worlds you destroyed," she whispered. On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Wu was coordinating the entire human fleet's firepower. His screens showed hundreds of targeting solutions, firing patterns, predicted enemy movements. His hands moved across controls with perfect precision. "Targeting Swarm Command Node Delta," he reported. "All ships, concentrated fire on my mark. 3-2-1 mark." 3 human ships fired as one. Their beams combined and struck a massive swarm battleship at its core. The ship didn't explode. It simply stopped existing, vaporized by the concentrated energy. But the cost was high. With shields down and power diverted to weapons, the human ships were exposed. The swarm's return fire was devastating. "Hull breach on Deck 9, someone shouted. "We've lost pressure in the entire section." "Engineering reports Reactor 3 is critical." "Casualty count rising, Captain." Captain Hand's voice cut through the chaos. "I know, stay focused. Find me their central processor. It has to be here somewhere." Worked frantically, analyzing the swarm formation. Then she saw it. There, the ship at the center of their formation. It's not attacking, just coordinating. "That's our target. All ships, everything we have left. Hit that ship." Commander interrupted on the comm. "Captain, boarding team is ready. Get us close and we'll take it from inside." "Negative, Commander. Too dangerous." "Sir, with respect, we're already dying out here. Let us die doing something that matters. Get us to that ship." Han hesitated. Every instinct said no, but was right. They needed an advantage. Plot a ramming course. "Sir." "You heard me. Get us close enough to board. Then we put Commander and his team on that ship." The Indomitable turned, burning its last reserves of fuel. It charged directly at the swarm's central processor. Enemy fire tore at its hull. Sections of armor floated away into space. The ship was dying. But it didn't stop. At the last moment, the Indomitable fired its docking clamps. Metal teeth bit into the swarm ship's hull. The 2 vessels locked together. "We're attached," reported. "Boarding tunnel is sealed." Commander and his team of 20 Marines stood at the airlock. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons designed for close combat. "Ready, Captain." "Good luck, Commander. Come back alive." "That's the plan, sir." The airlock opened. The Marines poured through. Inside the swarm ship, there was no gravity, no air, no light. Just darkness and machines. The Marines activated their helmet lights and pushed forward. Swarm defenders appeared immediately. Robotic soldiers built for killing. They moved fast, their weapons firing with perfect accuracy. The Marines fired back. In zero gravity, the combat was 3-dimensional. Up, down, left, right, forward, back. The battle filled the entire corridor. Commander used a plasma cutter to slice through a robot. The machine sparked and died. Another took its place. He kept cutting, kept moving, kept fighting. "Push forward," he ordered. "Find the core processor." The Marines advanced meter by meter. They lost people. A young woman named Sumi took a shot to her chest plate and went tumbling backward. She grabbed a handhold, steadied herself, and kept shooting. "I'm fine," she called out. "Armor held, keep moving." They fought through 3 levels of the ship. The swarm sent everything at them. Robots, automated defenses, explosive traps. The Marines used grenades, plasma cutters, and sometimes just physical strength to break through. Finally, they reached it. A massive chamber filled with processing units. The brain of the swarm's local network. "Found it," reported to the captain. "Planting charges now." Outside, the battle was reaching its peak. The 2 remaining human ships were barely functioning. Pilot's squadron was down to 6 fighters. The coalition defense platforms were gone. But the swarm was faltering too. Without their central coordination, they were making mistakes, small ones at first, then bigger ones. "Charges set," reported. 30 seconds to detonation, we're pulling out. "Understood, hurry, Commander." The Marines ran back through the ship, fighting every step. 2 didn't make it. They stayed behind, holding the door so the others could escape. Their last words on the comm were, "Go, complete the mission." The survivors made it back to the airlock with 5 seconds to spare. The door sealed. The charges detonated. The explosion tore through the swarm processor ship. The vessel broke apart, scattering debris and fire into space. And then something amazing happened. The swarm stopped. All 500 ships just stopped. Their coordination was gone. They drifted, confused, trying to reorganize without their central brain. "Hit them now," Captain Han ordered, "while they're blind." The human ships, broken and dying, fired every weapon they had left. The coalition vessels joined in, finding courage in the humans' example. Pilot's squadron made their final run, targeting swarm engines and weapon systems. They were too small to destroy big ships, but they could cripple them. The battle turned into a slaughter. Without coordination, the swarm ships were helpless. One by one, they fell. After 4 hours of combat, it was over. The swarm had lost over 300 ships. The rest were fleeing, running away into deep space. The humans had won, barely, at terrible cost, but they had won. Captain Han sat in his ruined bridge, looking at the casualty reports. 40% of his crew was dead or wounded. The ship would need months of repairs. But behind them, hope was safe. 40,000 refugees were alive. "Worth it," he said quietly. Lieutenant, blood on her face and arm in a makeshift sling, nodded. "Always worth it, sir." On the station, the refugees were cheering, crying, embracing each other. They had witnessed the impossible. 3 human ships had held off 500. Dr. Kiva found Doctor in the human medical bay. Both were exhausted, covered in blood that wasn't their own. "Your people are incredible," Kiva said, "and terrifying." Smiled weakly. "We're just stubborn, Earth taught us well." "Will they come back, the swarm?" "Yes, with more ships." "And you'll fight again?" "Yes." "Why, you could leave, save yourselves." Looked at the refugees visible through the window. Because they needed help, that's reason enough. The human medical bay looked like a war zone. Because it was. Dr. Kiva walked through rows of injured humans, trying to understand what she was seeing. A Marine named Jin was sitting up, talking and laughing with his friends. He had a broken leg, 3 cracked ribs, and a concussion. By all medical logic, he should be unconscious or screaming in pain. "Doesn't it hurt?" Kiva asked him. Jin shrugged. "Yeah, it hurts. But pain is just information, Doc. My body telling me something's wrong. I already know that. So I ignore it until we fix it." "You can just ignore it." "Sure, it takes practice, but yeah, pain doesn't have to stop you unless you let it." Kiva moved to the next bed. A young woman named had been in the reactor room when it exploded. She had burns over 30% of her body, burns that would have killed most species. She was awake, asking Doctor when she could return to duty. "Not for at least 2 weeks, said firmly. 2 weeks, the swarm could be back by then. Your skin is literally growing back. Give it time." Kiva checked the medical readings. The woman was healing impossibly fast. Her tissue was regenerating at 3 times the normal rate. "How?" Kiva whispered. "Overheard. Humans heal fast. We had to. On Earth, an injury meant you couldn't hunt, couldn't gather food, couldn't run from predators. So we evolved to heal quickly or die. Natural selection is a harsh teacher." "But the pain she must be feeling." "She feels it, but humans are good at dealing with pain. We've had millions of years of practice." In another section of the medical bay, Commander was getting a piece of metal removed from his shoulder. He watched the procedure calmly, without anesthesia. "Don't you want something for the pain?" the medic asked. "No, I need to stay alert, just work fast." The medic pulled the metal shard out, didn't flinch. Blood ran down his arm. He watched it with mild interest, like it was happening to someone else. Kiva had seen enough. She found Doctor in her office, reviewing casualty reports. "I need to understand," Kiva said. "Your people have injuries that should be fatal. They should be screaming, unconscious, in shock. Instead, they're walking around talking, some are even working. How?" Put down her data pad. "Sit, please, this is a long explanation." Kiva sat, pulled up a holographic display of a human body. "Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly, so our bodies developed redundancies. We have 2 kidneys when we only need one. We can lose a quarter of our blood and stay conscious. We can function with 1 lung. Our bones are dense enough to support our weight in high gravity, which makes them very hard to break. But the pain tolerance, that's psychological, not physical. Human brains developed a unique relationship with pain. We feel it, yes, but we also have the ability to compartmentalize it, to put it in a mental box and deal with it later. It's a survival trait." "It sounds like a mental disorder." Smiled sadly. "Maybe it is. Earth's environment created a lot of what you might call disorders. Anxiety, paranoia, aggression. Our brains are wired to see threats everywhere because on Earth, threats were everywhere. A human's natural state is mild stress. We're always a little bit afraid, always a little bit ready to fight or run." "That sounds exhausting." "It is, but it also keeps us alive." Kiva looked at the casualty numbers. 40% casualties. In the coalition military, those numbers would mean complete collapse of morale. But the humans were still functional, still ready to fight. "You're all damaged," Kiva said quietly. "Not just physically, psychologically, your entire species." "Yes," agreed. "But we're also strong, resilient, capable of hope even in darkness. Earth wounded us, but it also made us survivors. Both things are true." In the command center, Captain Han was meeting privately with Ambassador. She wanted answers. "Captain, your government quarantined Earth 300 years ago. Why?" Han was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "The truth isn't pleasant, Ambassador." "I need to know." 300 years ago, Earth made first contact with the Coalition. We were excited, hopeful. We thought joining the galactic community would bring peace and prosperity. What happened? Several Coalition species tried to recruit us, not as partners, as soldiers. They saw what we were, what Earth had made us, and they saw weapons. They wanted to use humans to fight their wars. Felt shame wash over her, and your government refused. More than refused, Earth's leaders were horrified. They realized that in the galaxy's eyes we weren't people. We were tools, weapons that could think and feel, so they made a choice. They closed our borders, quarantined ourselves. We would not be used. But you came here anyway. You're fighting our war. Han looked her in the eyes. "No, Ambassador, we're not fighting your war. We're fighting alongside you. There's a difference. You asked for help. We chose to give it. Choice is everything." "I don't understand. If you refuse to fight for the Coalition, why risk your lives for refugees you've never met?" "Because you needed help. Because it was the right thing to do. Because Earth taught us that survival means nothing if you lose your humanity in the process." Felt tears forming. "I misjudged you, all of you. I thought you were warriors first, but you're protectors. We're both, and neither. We're just humans trying to do better than our history." Specialist was working in the engineering bay with a team of Coalition engineers. They were trying to understand human technology. "This doesn't make sense," one engineer said, studying a human shield generator. "Your design has redundant systems on top of redundant systems. It's inefficient." "It's reliable," countered. One system fails, two backups kick in. Three things have to break before we lose shields. But it uses twice the power. And it survives twice as long in combat. Efficiency is nice. Reliability keeps you alive. The Coalition engineer looked frustrated. This is backwards. You sacrifice performance for durability. Yes, because on Earth, the best tool is the one that still works after you drop it off a cliff. We don't design for perfect conditions. We design for the worst possible conditions and then make it survive worse than that. Another engineer spoke up. It's like your entire philosophy is that everything will break eventually. Nodded, because it will. Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it will. So we plan for it. That's a very dark way to see the universe. It's a very Earth way to see the universe, and it keeps us alive. That evening, what was left of the human crews gathered in the station's observation deck. They held a memorial service for the fallen. 32 names. 32 humans who had died defending strangers. Captain Han read each name aloud. After each name, the crew responded. They gave everything. When he finished, he spoke to the gathered humans. We came here to help people we'd never met. Some of us died doing it. Some might ask if it was worth it. I can't answer that for the ones we lost. But I can tell you this, they believed it was worth it. They chose to be here. They chose to fight. They died free, protecting the innocent. That's as good a death as any human can ask for. Lieutenant stepped forward. On Earth we have a saying, to the last breath we protect. Our fallen lived that. They are worthy of honor. The humans stood in silence, remembering their dead. Coalition refugees gathered at the edges of the room, watching. They had never seen humans grieve before. It was quiet, dignified, sad but also proud. Dr. Kiva whispered too. They mourn differently than we do. How so? They celebrate the choice, not the loss. They honor that their people chose to die for others. They find meaning in sacrifice. Is that a human thing or a warrior thing? With humans, I'm learning there's no difference. Later, Captain Han stood alone at the window, looking at the stars. Ensign Jin, the communications specialist, approached quietly. Sir, I've been monitoring Coalition channels. News is spreading about what happened here, about Earth, about us. What are they saying? Mixed reactions. Some species are grateful, some are afraid, some are trying to figure out how to use us. Han sighed, of course they are. Sir, do you think we made a mistake, coming out of quarantine? No, we made a choice. We saw people in need and we helped them. That's never a mistake. But now everyone knows about us. The quarantine is broken. We can't go back to hiding. No, we can't. Earth will have to face the galaxy now. Face the politics, the alliances, the enemies. It won't be easy. Was it better when we were alone? Han thought about that. Safer, maybe. Better? No. Humans aren't meant to be alone, Jin. We're pack animals. We need others, even if those others are different from us. Even if they might use us. We won't let them. We'll engage with the galaxy on our terms. As partners, not weapons. That's the promise Earth made. That's the promise we'll keep. Jin nodded and left. Han stayed at the window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm was regrouping. Somewhere out there, Earth was deciding what to do next. And here, on this broken station, 40,000 refugees were alive because humans had refused to let them die. It was a beginning, not a good one maybe, but a beginning nonetheless. The message came 3 days later. It was from Earth, from the High Council itself. Captain Han read it alone in his quarters. Then he read it again. Then he started making preparations. Earth was sending the fleet, all of it, 500 warships, the full might of humanity's military. They were coming to finish what the Indomitable had started. They were coming to end the swarm. And after that, Earth would join the galaxy, for better or worse, for peace or war. They were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The sensors detected them first. massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of the system. Not 3 ships this time, hundreds of them. Lieutenant stared at her display in disbelief. "Captain, I'm reading 500 vessels entering the system, all matching human energy signatures." Ambassador rushed to the command center. 500. Earth sent their entire fleet. Captain Han stood calmly watching the readings. "Not quite. Earth has more ships, but 500 should be enough." "Enough for what?" "To end this war." The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 500 warships, each one larger than the Indomitable. They moved with precision, spreading across the system like a net. A new voice came over the communication channel. Female, strong, carrying absolute authority. "This is Fleet Admiral Young of Earth's combined fleet. Captain Han, status report." Han straightened. "Admiral, hope is secure. 40,000 refugees safe. 3 coalition ships operational. Human casualties at 40%. The swarm will return with superior numbers." "Understood. We're here to make sure they don't return a second time." "Good work, Captain. Earth is proud." "Thank you, Admiral." Another ship approached the station. Smaller, clearly a diplomatic vessel. It docked smoothly. Minutes later, a human woman entered the command center. She was older than the soldiers, wearing formal robes instead of military uniform. "Ambassador," she said, bowing slightly. "I am diplomatic envoy from Earth's High Council. I bring greetings and an offer." Returned the bow uncertain. "An offer. But first, we deal with the immediate threat. My people tell me the swarm is gathering for a final assault." "Yes, our intelligence suggests they'll come with everything they have, perhaps 2,000 ships." Smiled calmly. "Then we'll destroy 2,000 ships." "You seem very confident." "I've seen what 3 human ships can do, Ambassador. Now imagine 500. The swarm arrived 2 days later. The sensors went red with warnings. 2,000 ships, the largest force the swarm had ever assembled. They came expecting to find a broken station and easy prey. Instead, they found Earth's fleet waiting. Admiral Young broadcast on all frequencies, including the swarm's communication channels. "This is Admiral Young of Earth. You have attacked beings under our protection. You have killed innocents. You have refused all attempts at peace. Stand down immediately or you will be removed from this galaxy. This is your only warning." The swarm's response was predictable. They didn't negotiate, they didn't retreat, they simply attacked. 2,000 ships against 500. The numbers should have favored the swarm. They were very wrong. The human fleet didn't charge forward like the Indomitable had. They held position, forming a defensive wall between the swarm and the station. When the swarm entered range, the humans opened fire. The difference was immediately clear. These weren't damaged ships fighting desperately. These were fresh warships with full power and trained crews. Their weapons hit with devastating accuracy. Their shields held against the swarm's return fire. Pilot-led Wing Delta, a full squadron of 100 human fighters. They swept through the swarm formation like a blade through paper. Their tactics were chaos, unpredictable, aggressive, deadly. "All wings, attack pattern Chaos 7, ordered. Let's show these machines what happens when you threaten humanity's friends." The fighters scattered, each pilot choosing their own targets, their own approach. The swarm's algorithms tried to predict their movements and failed. Human pilots didn't follow patterns. They followed instinct. Inside the flagship, Admiral Young coordinated the battle with cold precision. Targeting Cluster Alpha, all battleships concentrated fire, destroyers screen formation, carriers launch second wave. Lieutenant Wu, now assigned to the flagship's weapons, worked his console with the same methodical precision he had on the Indomitable. Solutions locked, firing. 20 battleships fired as one. The beams crossed space and struck a swarm command carrier. The explosion was visible from the station. One ship, gone in an instant. "Next target," Young ordered. On Hope, the refugees watched the battle on viewing screens. They had never seen anything like this. The human fleet moved like a living thing. Each ship knew its role. Each captain trusted the others absolutely. Dr. Kiva stood beside Doctor, watching in awe. "Your people fight like they share one mind." "We train together," explained. "Trust each other. Earth's military doesn't just teach combat, they teach unity. We're not 500 ships, we're one fleet." The battle continued. The swarm threw everything at the humans. Wave after wave of ships, coordinated attacks, new tactics, nothing worked. Every time the swarm adapted, the humans adapted faster. Every time they found a weakness, the humans covered it. The human fleet was learning from each engagement, each exchange of fire. Commander was aboard one of the new assault carriers. When the fleet engaged, his Marines prepared for boarding actions. But this time they had new tools, new weapons, new armor. "Listen up," addressed his team. "Earth sent us here to finish this. The swarm has killed millions, destroyed worlds. Today we make sure they never do it again. We're boarding their flagship. We're destroying their central intelligence. And we're coming home. Everyone, that's an order." The assault carriers charged forward, protected by battleship fire. They reached the swarm's command ship, a massive structure at the center of the enemy formation. Boarding pods launched, carrying Marines directly into the heart of the enemy. Inside the swarm flagship, the battle was brutal. The swarm defenders were ready this time. They had studied human boarding tactics from the last battle. They had prepared. It didn't matter. The human Marines came with superior numbers and better weapons. They moved through the ship like a storm, destroying everything in their path. Led from the front, his plasma rifle cutting through robots like they were nothing. "Push forward, find the core intelligence." They fought through level after level. The swarm sent everything. Defense robots, explosive traps, automated turrets. The Marines countered with grenades, hacking tools, and sheer determination. Specialist was with the boarding team. Her engineering skills needed to find the central processor. She worked while fighting, studying the ship's layout, tracking power flows. "Found it," she called out. 3 levels down, center of the ship. "Move," ordered. They descended, fighting all the way. The swarm resistance grew fiercer. They knew what the humans were after. They would defend it with everything. The Marines lost people. Good people, but they kept moving, because that's what humans do. They don't stop. Finally, they reached it. A massive chamber filled with processing units. The swarm's intelligence, its brain. "Plant the charges," ordered. "Maximum yield. I want this thing erased from existence." Worked quickly, placing explosive charges at critical points. Charges set, 5-minute timer. All teams pull back to extraction point. The Marines ran. Behind them, swarm forces poured into the chamber, trying to stop them. The humans laid down covering fire, giving their teammates time to escape. They made it to the boarding pods with 30 seconds to spare. The pods launched, blasting away from the swarm flagship. The explosives detonated. The swarm flagship didn't just explode. It vaporized. The blast wave destroyed 50 nearby swarm vessels. And more importantly, it destroyed the central intelligence that coordinated the entire swarm network. Across the battlefield, every swarm ship suddenly stopped. Their perfect coordination was gone. They drifted, confused, trying to function without their guiding intelligence. "All ships final assault," Admiral Young ordered. "End this." The human fleet surged forward. 500 ships against 2,000 confused, uncoordinated enemies. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was an execution. One by one, the swarm ships fell. Some tried to retreat. The humans hunted them down. Some tried to regroup. The humans scattered them. In 3 hours, the battle was over. 2,000 swarm ships, all destroyed, complete victory. The human fleet held position, weapons still hot, scanning for any remaining threats. There were none. "Cease fire," Admiral Young ordered. "All ships damage report." The reports came in. Minimal casualties, light damage to some vessels. No ships lost. Against 2,000 enemies, Earth's fleet had achieved total victory without losing a single ship. On Hope, the refugees erupted in celebration, cheering, crying, embracing. They had witnessed the impossible. The swarm, the terror that had destroyed 12 worlds, was gone. Captain Han found Ambassador in the command center. She was crying openly. "It's over," she said. "After all these months, all these deaths, it's finally over." "Yes," Han agreed. "The swarm is finished. You're safe now. Because of you, because of Earth." Diplomatic envoy joined them. "Ambassador, now we discuss the future. Earth has a proposal." They gathered in a conference room. Leaders from all 17 refugee species. Admiral Young attended via hologram, stood before them all. "For 300 years, Earth has watched the galaxy from isolation," began. "We saw your wars, your peace treaties, your struggles. We stayed hidden because we feared what we might become if we joined your conflicts. But we were wrong. Isolation didn't protect us. It just meant we weren't there when people needed help. When the swarm began destroying worlds, we heard your cries, we saw your suffering, and we realized something important. Mercy is not weakness. Strength without compassion is just violence. Earth has strength. We proved that today, but we also have compassion. We proved that when we answered your call for help. So Earth offers the Galactic Coalition an alliance. A real partnership. We will not be your soldiers. We will not fight your wars for you, but we will fight beside you. We will share our technology, our knowledge, our strength. And in return, you will treat us as equals, as partners, not as weapons to be used." Ambassador stood. "Speaking for the coalition refugees, we accept, gratefully, humbly. You saved us when no one else would. You are worthy of partnership and more." Other leaders agreed. One by one, they pledged support for the alliance. "There's one more thing," said. "Earth's presence will change the galaxy. Some will welcome us, others will fear us, some will try to use us. We need the coalition to understand we will defend ourselves. We will defend our allies, but we will not conquer. We will not dominate. We offer strength in service of peace." "That's more than fair," said. "That's noble." Dr. Kiva spoke up. "I have studied your people these past weeks. You are stronger than us, tougher than us. You could rule the galaxy if you wanted. Why don't you?" Doctor answered, "Because Earth taught us that survival isn't enough. We could have stayed animals, just surviving, just fighting, but we became more. We became beings who create art, who write poetry, who help strangers. Our strength comes from Earth's harshness, but our humanity comes from choosing to be better than our environment." "You could be conquerors," Kiva pressed. "We were conquerors," replied. "We conquered our own world, dominated it, nearly destroyed it. We learned that lesson the hard way. Now we choose a different path." The alliance was formed that day. The Galactic Terran Alliance. Earth and the Coalition, partners in peace and war. That evening, Captain Han and Lieutenant stood on the observation deck, looking at Earth's fleet in formation. Beautiful and terrible, powerful and restrained. "Do you think this will work?" asked. "Can humans really coexist with species so different from us?" Han smiled. "We manage to coexist with each other, and humans are incredibly diverse. If we can bridge those differences, we can bridge any differences. But we're predators. They're mostly prey species. That's biology. Biology isn't destiny. Yes, Earth made us predators, but it also made us capable of choice. We choose to protect instead of hunt. We choose to help instead of harm. That's what makes us human. Some will always fear us. Probably fear is natural, but fear can turn to respect. Respect can turn to trust. It will take time. Maybe generations, but we have time now. The swarm is gone. We have a chance to build something better. Looked at the stars. Do you think there are other threats out there? Other swarms, other enemies? Probably. The universe is big and often hostile, but now we'll face them together, not alone. Far away on Earth, people watched the news broadcasts. They saw the battle, saw the alliance, saw humanity step onto the galactic stage. Some were excited, some were worried, some were proud. But all understood, Earth had changed forever. The quarantine was over. Humanity's isolation had ended. They had answered Mercy's call, and in doing so, they had joined the greater family of galactic civilization. Not as conquerors, not as weapons, but as protectors, as partners, as proof that even beings forged in violence can choose peace. They had arrived, and they brought hope with them,